I've been a fan of So Bad It's Good movies for many years. So much so that when the pandemic hit, my brothers and I would get on Discord every weekend and watch bad films. We'd watch many films from various different filmmakers, ones we would find from watching YourMovieSucks.org and Red Letter Media. Anything from Neil Breen to Tommy Wiseau. Having gone through many of these films, there are some that really stick out. You would call them the diamonds in the rough, so to speak. These tend to be what Red Letter Media would call the vanity projects. The films where it's written, produced, directed, and starring one person.
Neil, how have you been able to write, produce, direct, act, and self-fund 5 theatrical, independent feature films?
Your Neil Breens, for example. John DeHart.
Not a problem.
And Tommy Wiseau.
It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Most of these films feature middle-aged men wearing black tank tops, and the movie showcases how he is the best action star ever and how attractive and irresistible he is to the much, much younger women that fall in love with him in the film. Alright, I only discovered this film a couple days ago on Twitter from a Justin Wang retweet. He retweeted a user named FilmMomatic, calling it the Miami Connection of this generation. That is very high praise for a bad film to get, because Miami Connection is one of the most entertaining films that I've seen in the last 10 years. So anyway, I had to see it. First of all, who is Suni B or Shunny B? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but if you see this, I'm sorry. Hopefully I pronounced it right. So based on what I'm able to find, Shuni B is a martial artist who was born and raised in Nepal. Even though it was illegal to learn martial arts when he was growing up in Nepal, he would come across instruction manuals on how to do martial arts, and he would gain basic knowledge from it. Since then, he has studied Taekwondo, Jeet Kune Do, which is Bruce Lee style, Kali Filipino martial arts, Bajra MMA, and Gorkha martial arts. He has also appeared in a couple martial arts films. I haven't really seen any of them, not very many, but he's also been featured in Black Belt Magazine, which is a martial arts magazine. Let's go on to the plot. So where does the movie start? The movie starts with Shuni, or as he is called in this case, Brandon. Like Brandon Lee, the son of Bruce Lee. I'm guessing that is what he was going for. I could be wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised since the film is dedicated to the memory of Bruce Lee. Anyway, Brandon is training a women's self-defense class. This shot is juxtaposed with another woman running away from some bad guys.
You shouldn't depend upon only one technique. Maybe this particular technique works for her. Might have been for him.
You can tell the audio is poorly ADR'd here, and a weird echo effect was added in as well. In this class, the men seem to be way too into this. Why is a cop watching the class? Anyway, the bad guys and the young woman, who we find out his name is Karen, makes it to Brandon's school. These bad guys are way taller than Brandon, and it almost seems intentional. The fight choreography is hilarious. Obviously, Brandon has some skills since he is a martial artist, but you can clearly see shots where they intentionally miss punches. Also, what happened to that cop that was there? Where have I heard this music before? Oh, that's it. It's literally Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. I'm a huge fan of those soundtracks and those movies, so I was able to pick it out with my ear pretty easily. Black tank top? Ah yes, it's not a vanity project without it. In any case, the fight goes on. You can see he really is trying to channel his inner Bruce Lee here, as he's doing Jeet Kune Do, which is Bruce Lee's fighting kung fu style that we... Then Brandon defeats them all one at a time. he introduces himself to Karen, who then explains that she had escaped a human trafficking ring that she was stuck in for 6 months. In Brandon's office, you can see all of his trophies and achievements. He's very proud of those. I mean, not knocking you, but this is a vanity project. You can see that just from looking at his office. There's also a poster of him in the back. The funny part is that in the movie his name is Brandon, but it shows him and it says introducing Shuni B on the poster. So is his name Shuni or is his name Brandon? Maybe he goes by Brandon as an English name? I don't know, but just a little bit of inconsistency. So Karen goes on to explain that she was captured with her friends by a guy named Nicky, who randomly approaches Karen and her friends at this empty restaurant and proceeds to roofie them. They trust random dudes who just put powdered substances in their drinks. I'm not kidding. I'm just surprised. I swear the audio dubs in this scene particularly make me think of a late 90s PS1 game. You know, like the ones that were maybe Japanese, but that were ported to US, and then they have bad voice acting. That's what it sounds like to me.
Come on, girls. I'm sure you like it.
My tongue's kind of numb.
Hey, you doing all right?
Now, Jill, can you go?
I'm going with you. Chris is our old partner, you know.
Okay, let me handle this.
Brandon drops Karen off at her dad's house and has a heartwarming reunion with her dad. But she doesn't go to the hospital or to the police. Why do we have this transition with the car laying on the horn? Brandon now gets home and puts his daughter Mia to bed. This is the single dad, dead wife cliche. Now he is free to get all the young ladies. And the first of many flashbacks and speeches about his dead wife. What is it with the shot of him laying next to the tree? Now on to the bad guys with Greco, who is not the only bad guy we get introduced to in this film. He's the first, but there are other ones. Bodyguards look a little old, to be honest. Maybe he makes up for it with his black hair dye. They look like they're in Brandon's school with the gym mats and trophies everywhere. You find out that Karen took a hard drive with all the bad guys' secrets on it and never went to the police. So these guys want to kill her, but she won't go to the police with this information. Anyway, more bad guys, and they give this guy gives a weird Kramer impression.
What are you saying?
This guy, out of nowhere, shows up, starts defending her, protecting her.
One guy?
That what I paid you, asswipe!
Nicky is giving some more pimps, more pushers vibes in this part.
I want word out. Every thug, every gang member, every cop.
Recruit more pimps, more pushers.
No separation of church and state here. Next, Brandon picks up Mia, takes her to get some ice cream, and asks the lady he knows there to take her home because he has to teach. Why did he even pick her up in the first place? I just don't get the logic there. It's like, I'm gonna pick up my daughter. Okay, I'm a dad myself. I'm gonna pick up my daughter. I'm gonna go take her to get ice cream. Oh, 5 minutes into I gotta go teach. Hey, lady that just happened to be here, can you give my daughter a ride home? Yeah, sure. Yeah, just, I don't know. Weird.
Hey, Nikki, we found Brandon here downtown.
More Batman
Where's
Begins
that bitch,
music here.
Karen?
Not here. We'll keep tracking her down. Okay, Nikki.
Now he trains Karen in this montage, and Brandon is way too into this. Like, way too into this. And then he starts hitting on her. It's just a bit creepy. Why is there a scene with an MMA fighter calling for training? Does it serve a purpose? No, it doesn't come back at all in the film. At all.
He's dying to meet you.
Now Karen wants Brandon to meet her dad. So Brandon goes over to Karen's house and makes a joke about LA traffic. And they sit down to have Panda Express on a plate.
Thank you for having me.
Brandon is so humble, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And another Brandon speech. It's not a movie without Brandon giving a
I
speech.
believe that when we help each other without any expectation in return, the world will be a much better place to live, with peace, love, and harmony.
Well said, Brandon. If a lot of people love each other, the world would be a better place to live.
What a pleasant surprise.
This part, Mia finds a random giant dog that does not serve any other purpose in the movie, just except to be there. It never comes back later in the film, except for one scene where, literally immediately after this, where she has a dream that the dog came to her door. And that was it. It doesn't serve any other purpose. It doesn't move the plot along or anything.
Hi, guys.
This fight scene is hilarious. I especially like when she kicks the 6-year-old in the face. Next, Mia gets called into the principal's office because she broke the kid's wrist. Literally kicked their asses too hard. The sign on the principal's office is just a shiny notebook that says Principal Ivy. And now they praise him for being such a great dad. And another speech. Best dad ever. The next parts of the film, not a lot happens. It doesn't serve much purpose to the plot. Karen and Brandon meet for a date.
Am I irresistible now? What's so funny?
And then Karen makes the mistake of asking about his dead wife. He goes into another speech and flashback. And then a fly hits his face. Like, they couldn't have gotten better shots. Maybe this is the only one where the tears were coming out of his eyes or something, but this had me going pretty good when I saw it. So I guess Brandon's wife was killed by human traffickers, so that gives him the reason to go after Karen's captors. But again, why hasn't Karen gone to the police with the hard drive? Anyway, now we get to the setup for the rest of the film. The final arc of the film, the final act. Mia gets captured by the same bad guys who Karen escaped from. She does kick their asses a bit, but this is after being way too trusting and going straight up to their van when they ask her to, saying, "Oh yeah, I'm a student of your dad's." Now they introduce us to Brutal and his MMA girls. He's another main bad guy, and he's responsible for the kidnapping of Mia. It's also kind of funny in this part, not being ageist or anything, but he has like this old grandma lady that is hanging out with him. It's just not what you'd expect. Maybe that's what he's into. No shame. Just thought it was funny. So anyway, Brutal is another main bad guy. He is responsible for kidnapping Mia. Brutal then calls Brandon and tells him that he has Mia. They arrange for a fight to get Mia back, and Brandon has a Liam Neeson Taken moment. Again, why aren't they going to the police? I'm no fan of cops myself, but at least this would be a good reason to go to the cops. They have a hard drive. Come on. Also, when Brandon talks to women, he has this tendency to put his hand across their shoulders, and it's just interesting. I mean, Karen is the love interest and all, but he's acting like he is her dad or something here. It's very strange. Next, Karen's dad gets killed, and Brandon has a fake knife fight. Why won't he kill him? I thought he was the action hero with no consequences. He chases after the murderer across some train tracks. Now when I saw this shot, I just imagined Shuni got a schedule of local Amtrak trains. He set up his camera on a tripod across the other end of the track, and he waited for the train to come, and then he ran up to the train as it was passing by so he could get the shot. That's how I imagine he'd do it. Guerrilla filmmaking at its finest.
It's all right.
So anyway, Brandon is wounded, Karen's dad is dead. And now we have the cliche wounded hero getting bandaged up by the love interest. Only instead of being romantic, he gives another speech and tells Karen, the victim of sex trafficking, to stop playing the victim. I am not making this up.
The rest of my life. You're always looking over my shoulder.
wondering if today is going to be the day.
I understand how you feel, but you have to quit playing victim.
And then he kisses her on her forehead, cutting that sexual tension with a knife. Oh my goodness. Karen's actress probably was not into kissing him on the mouth or on the cheek for that matter, so she said you can kiss his forehead, I guess. So in this moment, Brandon is really taking his time trying to save his daughter. You would think that would be his main priority. That would be the rest of the film, but no. The rest of the film, Brandon goes after Nikki and his goons and kicks their asses. A lot of ass kicking in this. This is the scene I saw that got me into the movie. It's the one that was posted on Twitter. He goes full Bruce Lee with his nunchucks and chokes out Bill Gates, fights a dude with sticks, and then fights Nikki in an epic battle. Mia then escapes and gets poisoned or knocked out. I'm not quite sure. I'm guessing knocked out, because they say nighty-night or something. He then saves Karen's friends, but instead of trying to find his daughter, or going to the police, he goes to dinner with Karen and her friends, the same ones he just saved, at the same restaurant that Karen and her friends were abducted from 6 months prior, and gives another speech. I just can't make this up. Next, Brandon does a training montage with all the women he saved instead of saving his daughter. The movie is about 80 minutes long, and at this point, we're over an hour into the film. The pacing in this film is so off. That's one of the big problems with it.
I'm gonna bring him in a cage.
Next, they go to a scene where Greco and Brutal are talking on the phone, and they mention Brandon was a former Gurkha soldier, which is some kind of special forces in Nepal or India, is kind of what I was able to find online. But they just decided to mention this now. You think like if he was like, you know, let's say he was a Navy SEAL or ex-Navy SEAL, that would be like one of the first things they mention, you know, in the movie. When Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando was a commando, the whole movie was called Commando. And you know that he was like trained in special operations like that from the very beginning of the film. Now in this scene, Brandon is kidnapped and blindfolded by Greco. When did this happen? You don't see this happen. The last time we saw Brandon, he was training the self-defense course. And now Brandon, who has his hands free, proceeds to fight Greco in a one-on-one fight, but decides to keep the blindfold on only until Greco rips it off. And then Brandon acts like he didn't realize he could do that. He's like, whoa, what? I can see now. It's pretty hilarious. Again, more Dark Knight soundtrack here. Now a sword fight versus nunchucks, and Brandon whoops Greco's ass. And then slits his throat. So he won't kill any of the other dudes, but he'll kill Greco.
Find you and destroy you and your kingdom.
He has another taken moment with Brutal on the phone, and the movie ends there. He didn't even save his daughter or fight Brutal. To be fair, he is supposedly making a sequel to this. I imagine he will save his daughter in the sequel, but if he does not, it'll be pretty disappointing that we never get to see the epic conclusion to this. So I sincerely hope that Shuni B is going to finish that sequel. There hasn't been any updates since December of 2021. So hopefully, fingers crossed. So in conclusion, Fight of Fury, in my opinion, is one of the best so bad it's good movies. It is like the diamond in the rough kind of situation. There's a lot of slogging through bad films to find good ones. Like even like Neil Breen ones. I love Neil Breen, but you know the thing that keeps you going with Neil Breen is that even if it's like really stale and boring, you're still just kind of like trying to figure out what's going on. But there's also a lot of other bad films that are like, you know, they're trying to be awesome. All bad films are trying to be awesome, but in particular, one thing you notice is they just don't hold your attention. This movie holds your attention the entire time, whether it's the fighting, whether it's the bad editing, the sound, the acting, the plot that doesn't make any sense half the time. It's very entertaining, and I really hope that Suni B does make more, because he's got a talent here for these kinds of films. So I really hope we get to see it. You should go watch it. You can find it. I saw it on YouTube. It's also on Tubi, it looks like, and maybe on Amazon Prime. I'm not 100% sure on that. There's a lot more I could talk about with it, with that's editing or sound, other goofy plot points. But again, it's something I think you should watch and experience for yourself. Normally, I don't make this kind of content. I mostly stream on Twitch and play games, but I really like bad movies, and I do like sharing them with people. This is a movie that has not really gotten any coverage from anybody like Red Letter Media or anything like that, so I figure I'd be the first to make a video about it. Hopefully you like it. If you do, please consider liking the video, subscribing, so that way I know and I can make more of these. But I mostly stream on Twitch, so if you would like to, I would appreciate it. But feel free to follow me there as well, and you can see when I go live. But anyway, thank you. My name is Stefan. This is Snake D87 signing off. And when all else fails, remember to snake it. Have a good one. Thanks.